Nope.
We just recorded that.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Even the intro and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Oh,
I'm going to...
Well,
we
that-
fucked
Let
up
you know this
again.
now.
that was that's an official first.
Yeah.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast, your bi-weekly podcast that delivers an episode-by-episode breakdown of the original G1 series. This is our episode number 136. Today we're going to be following episode 30 of the Transformers G1 series. That's Dinobot Island, part 1. And this is your host, Aaron, and would you guys care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Caleb. Wow, just threw it at us this time, huh?
That's right. And hell's bells, we've got quite an episode for the listener today. A real piss-up with our very special guest, Greig, from Transformers Reanimated and Unfunny Nerd Tangent. And the only way to properly introduce him is to talk about the time Ryan, Caleb, and I pulled off a jailbreak in '74. Who were we rescuing from the clink? Mike Seibert of Mike Seibert Radio, of course, who was in the people pound for indiscriminately firing his guns, making people feel unsafe in New York City. To pull this caper off properly, Caleb, Ryan, and I needed a co-conspirator with a real stiff upper lip. Well, money talks, but luckily for us, there were guns for hire. We were looking for the kind of ball breaker that walks the razor's edge. We needed a bloke, someone that would be more than a fly on the wall, but someone who would ride with us, dodging the black ice on that highway to hell. And if you think about it, hell ain't a bad place to be. Well, we were thunderstruck to find a real bushranger in our guest, Greig, who approached us and said, "If you want blood, you've got it." This was just the type of cobber who was going to help us get our dirty deeds done.
Dirt cheap.
Crew set. Breakout day. Clothed from front to back in black, we strutted our evil walks onto the penitentiary property. We cut through the high-voltage security fence, careful to avoid the live wires. I took out a guard tower with my big gun. Caleb skirted the canines by...
When you said big gun, you're like,
You
had your hands
mimed
like,
it.
big gun.
Caleb skirted the canines by giving the dog a bone. Ryan distracted the head guard, providing her with a shot of love. As a team, we made our way through the prison maze to Mike's pen, which was at the peak of the prison, and let me tell you, it was a long way to the top. When we arrived, we found Mike encased in a concrete wall 5 feet thick, hard as a rock. We hadn't planned for this. We thought it was over. It was like getting kicked in the teeth. Again. "No worries, mate," Greig said as he opened his dilly bag and pulled out... You guessed it. With your faces. I can't hold it in. "No worries, mate," Greig said as he opened his dilly bag and pulled out, you guessed it, TNT. Dynamite. "Are you ready?" Greig shouted. He pushed down the ignition button. I feel he pushed it a touch too much by my standards, but regardless, the big house was rocked and the foundations were shook, and in the nick of time, my fellow night prowlers and me were back in business. Safely stolen from the slammer, Mike, Caleb, Ryan, Greig, and I returned to our hideout down on the borderline. Mike, extremely appreciative, said, "Fellas, have a drink on me." So we all kicked back, poured ourselves a whole lot of rosé. I asked Greig, "Hey man, you into music?" Greig winked at me and replied, "Let there be rock." So with the flick of a switch, we all listened to the Iron Man 2 soundtrack. So with that, I'd like to welcome to the show a great man, known to some as Captain Boomerang. He's the host of many a fine podcast, including the pop culture nonsense show known as Unfunny Nerd Tangent, Pro Wrestling Suck-Off, Aussie Top 3, as well as being the co-creator of the seminal Gap Bridging Season 2.5 of Transformers Reanimated. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. I guess with all the songs you mentioned, I'm here to sink the pink. That's probably. Hope I don't get the Jack. That's probably the only. Might be the only two you didn't mention.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is this? It's a peek behind the curtain. This is not the first time that we've done this. We lost about an hour of recording time, and this is our second attempt. It's the first time it's ever happened. We did not hit record and lost a bunch of information. So this is the second bite at the apple. Is it going good?
I think I'll have to hand it to Greg. He actually punched it up.
Yeah,
he did.
And Aaron punched it down. But it's how do you not?
I don't
in
know.
this situation.
I didn't punch it that far down.
No.
I think I punched it up, but I kept getting distracted
It's
by
just
you guys.
weird. Yeah, I understand. It's not your fault. I take that all back.
That's my fault for getting
It's
distracted.
weird to hear it again. So no, I shouldn't say you punched down. It's just weird.
Greg, did I miss any of your podcasts? Did I cover them all?
Yeah, that's it. Unfunny Nerd Tangent, Aussie Top 3, and then the script readings, I guess, of Transformers Reanimated, which is also technically a podcast. So.
True.
Yeah.
Well, do you talk about Transformers Reanimated? All the listeners of our show have certainly heard of it, but for those who maybe haven't, what is it? How'd you get it going?
Basically, through the process of podcasting with Unfunny Nerd Tangent, I've met in quotes, spoken to various podcasters like yourself and Mike Seibert, and of course Yoshi from the Transmissions podcast. I've known him for a little while now. And he brought it to my attention that he was thinking of doing a G1 comic book and pitching it to IDW. So long story short, I kind of jumped on board that with him, and we sort of hashed out some ideas and banged out a script and sent it to IDW. And they, of course, gave us the old, we can't look at anything that's unsolicited line. So rejected it without even reading it, which is a bit of a kick in the ass. But we thought, well, we'll release it anyway to see what people think. And then in the process of doing that, Yoshi and I kind of came up with some more ideas, and like he'd go away and write a script and bring it back, and we'd both work on it, and then I would do the same and be like, hey, I've done 2 more and things like that. So we now sort of we have 13 scripts that have been released on the Transformers Reanimated.com, and we're not really planning to stop anytime soon. We have probably the next year or so mapped out already, as far as, well, I guess unpublished, if you want to call it that, like scripts that we haven't released yet. We get cover art done by various artists like Damon Batt, who's the official TFCon artist. We've had Transformers UK artist Lee Sullivan did a cover for us, our Christmas issue with tracks. Casey Collar has done covers as well, and of course the issue that is out, not out right now, but it came out last month, was issue 13, and Ryan did the cover.
What?
That's me.
Which was cool.
I did it.
Didn't tell us about that.
That's really nice.
Never mentioned it.
Oh,
It's really nice.
Thank you. I had fun. I really enjoyed doing that, and like being that collaboration was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was really easy working with you as well, Ryan, because it was like, we were kind of thinking of this. What do you think? You know, here's the script, have a read. And you were like, yeah, I like it. Maybe I could do this instead, or this, and add this, add that. And we're like, yeah, that sounds great. So
my favorite part of doing that was that the cover is Bunglbee being menaced by the Insecticons in a mall food court, and what I loved, like, oh man, what stores am I gonna put in it? So I put like a Sam Goody and Aladdin's Castle and Orange Julius and like Vincenzo's Pizza from Transformers is in there. That was my favorite part.
Greg, there's a lot of fodder for that. I love the concept and the work that you guys put into it. There is so much that happens, and so many characters that just seemingly appear out of nowhere on all seasons of Transformers, and it's awesome that you're able to take that and create all these origin stories.
Yeah, I mean, in universe, there's 20 years that gets skipped between the end of season 2 and the movie. So I mean, you have all these new characters in the movie, like Ultra Magnus and RC and Springer and Blur, and then you have the status quo has changed as well, because you have like the Decepticons are in charge of Cybertron again, and the Prime and those guys are on the moon bases and all this kind of stuff. So we were like, well, where did they come from? How did we get there? Plus, there's characters that are in season 3, like Outback and like the Battle Chargers and those guys, the Terracons. And we were like, well, let's sort of, if it's not a definitive origin story, as in like let's watch them be created, or how did they become what they are, we at least sort of introduce them as to like what they might be doing at the same time as the bots and cons are on Earth. So like meanwhile on Cybertron this is kind of happening. It's like, oh look, there's Springer and there's Swerve and those guys.
Maybe you could take the opportunity. I'm just going to pitch at you right
Okay.
now. Everybody talks about the 3 origin stories of the Constructicons. Maybe you could just tie all that up. How about that?
That would be fun. That actually does sound kind of fun.
That would be a challenge, but I would give it a go.
Guest author Ryan Jett just offered his help.
We have plans for, well, it's written already, but we had plans for Nightbird
so nice.
And Talk 3. But that literally came about because of APDC. I was like, that's right, that episode was just unresolved. Well,
happy to be an influence.
We will
my gosh.
take a cut of all the proceeds from this free thing that you're doing.
You can draw the cover.
I will do that.
Dinobot Island, the collaborations that we've done with people, we ask what episodes they'd like to do, and this was your choice. What drove you to that? Why Dinobot Island?
This was the episode I remember probably the most, as far like as a kid. Like this was the one I could sort of quote and remember the details of the most, even after having not seen them for however long it was between visits. I did actually own this 2-parter as a videotape. I can't remember where I got it, but it was like a promotional video, like not for sale. Like we got it somehow.
I don't remember that one being available in the States.
Maybe he stole it.
Oh, okay.
No, I definitely didn't steal it. I don't remember how I got it. I think it might have been through someone like one of my parents' work friends or something like that. I don't know. But it had them back to back without the gap in the middle. So it just sort of played like a movie. So it was sort of almost like a 44-minute show, as opposed to, having the end credits and then the opening credits again and all that. So I remember that one, and it pretty much like showcases all the characters at their most basic, and all the little nuances and all the little story beats and things like that sort of play out over the series. They're all present in these 2-parters. So like Megatron and Starscream kind of bickering at each other. The basic kind of chain of command of the Autobots, like Prime's in charge. He's the one, telling everyone what to do. But then you have all the secondary guys like Jazz and Prowl and Ironhide. Like they all have their specialties. Little things like, Trailbreaker's in the show for all of like 4 seconds, but he uses his force field.
Right.
Things like that,
They managed to distill everybody down to their essence in a way that, I got it.
Powerglide
is an egotistical prick.
I don't know if he's a prick.
Prick's not the right word.
He seems nice.
So it's like, what is the character at its most basic? It's like, well, Jazz. Okay, Jazz is cool and he plays music. So he does that in part 2. Prowl is no nonsense, like a cop. He does that in part 2. The Dinobots, they're these lumbering idiots that create trouble. So we got to do something about that. Wheeljack is a experimental guy and breaks shit and shit doesn't work.
Lunatic.
And then Ratchet has to fix it. Like all that stuff is there. So, and even the characters, like especially in part 2, where they really start introducing more characters. It's like, hi, I'm this guy. I do this. Buy my toy. Like Perceptor shows up and Drax and these guys. So, and just being a kid, I was all about sci-fi stuff. So space and robots and dinosaurs and time travel, like all that kind of stuff was sort of right in my alley. And this show has all of it. So, and Powerglide, like Powerglide's my favorite. And it definitely because of this episode. I think it was so different to see a character who is a good guy and like a heroic Autobot, but he's kind of this like egotistical narcissist. Like that's a bit strange. And he's reckless and he's sort of irresponsible, but he's like, look at me, I'm the best. Like, well, hey, it's sort of that was quite different, I think, at the time where you sort of had Optimus Prime and He-Man and these guys that were sort of more stoic, like Superman, like
it's kind of like the chaotic good introducing that concept.
Yeah, it was like here's a character, he's a good guy, but he's flawed, and there's a few of them like that, and then that's sort of, for me especially, like I do tend to, as I've grown up, I do tend to lean more towards the flawed characters as opposed to like the perfect, like that's why like Batman is more interesting than Superman,
Right.
Things like that. Like I'm like, oh yeah, but this guy's he's a good character, but he's a bit of a dick, or he's a bit of
he's more complicated.
That's interesting, actually, because like Powerglide is he has a personality, and the personality is basically I'm boisterous and I have a lot. It's almost like I started thinking about Sunstreaker, because like it's where the bad writing is you have a quirk, which is he's vain, but that's not really a personality. And so Powerglide has an actual personality, where Sunstreaker has like a quirk that makes him just different.
Yeah, like each of the characters sort of have, well, a lot of the all of my favorite characters are kind of like, Yoshi and I joke about it all the time. It's like Greg's weirdos. That's what we call them, because it's like they all have something sort of wrong with them, So like Trax is this like rich snob.
Did you want to give us a little bit of Trax?
It'll be a tease for episode 2.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Please. It's like, oh, I'm on a boat.
We got it.
Any of the characters, as a kid, any Transformers characters that had either like a quirk or a personality trait, like you said, Ryan, or a cool voice. So like Andor, they were the ones I sort of gravitated towards as well. So like Soundwave, he's got the weird voice modulator, of course, so he was one of my favorites. But like Trax, like we said, he's got a different voice. Powerglide's voice stands out, and the way he talks with the Jackie Gleason kind of stuff. And then guys like Sea Spray, Grimlock, all this Jazz, all the guys that sort of had cool voices. It was like, oh yeah. But all of those things, all their little quirks are on display in this 2-parter. So you see like Trax as a snob, and you see Sea Spray is like, yo ho, I'm kind of a pirate guy, and all that.
I'm
they all do man. Even Red Alert, like I like Red Alert, like paranoid Red Alert is the best Red Alert. But in part 1, he sort of turns up like, look out, we're going to do our thing. I'm the fire chief, sort of thing. And then the second one, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? Oh, did I
no fires.
Like he kind of gets all, he starts second guessing himself. So I'm like, yep, let's roll with that.
Yeah, I'm excited because finally we're about 20% into season 2, and the floodgates are opening with the new characters. I think it's going to be a good time.
It really does serve as a good introduction to the show, I think, if you hadn't ever seen it before. Like if you were just to like my son is 5, he hasn't seen any of the cartoon yet because we're still waiting to figure out how we're going to go, do you want to watch this show? And then if he really likes it, go, hey, there's more episodes. And then there's the movie. So like,
right.
He's not ready for that. So, but this would be a good one, I think, if you were just to like, I don't know anything about the G1 show. I don't want to start from scratch. What can I, like, show me an episode that is set in the status quo of they're already on Earth and they transform into trucks and jets and stuff like that. This one, I think, is good for that because it introduces new characters, but it also kind of does a quick like, hey, here's this guy, he does that, he does this one thing.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that is kind of why Mike Seibert, who did Heavy Metal War, that was the episode he wanted to guest on, and he said the same exact thing, is that it is an episode that is a very like crystallized version of what the Transformers was. Like if you watch this one single episode, you'll get it. You kind of get the whole milieu of what everything is about. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's right. That's it. I think, and this one just how it's like, well, anything that these characters, what they are and what they do, is on show in the double parter, and same with the Decepticons as well. So.
And to top it off, it's well animated. There are some great lines, and there's some corny lines too. So you get the whole gamut of goodness and weirdness of everything that is Transformers. Greg, thank you for being on this program. We are looking forward to dissecting these episodes with you. Let's jump into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right, guys? Is that what we're doing? We're just going to jump into it.
This is brand new.
Wait, Aaron, did you hit record?
Oh, shit.
No, I'm kidding.
Ryan, what are we drinking?
Yeah, so Jigger Beaker and Glass. This is the prehistoric sidecar from page 16 of Jigger Beaker and Glass.
Oh, you gave it a name. I thought you weren't going to do that anymore.
Yeah, well, I say a lot of things to a lot of people. Francis.
I'm uncomfortable.
All the ingredients in this drink are poured in equal parts. I think I just used a pony shot for each of them. 1 part cognac, 1 part Cointreau or triple sec, 1 part gin, and 1 part strained fresh lemon juice. Shake briskly with lots of cracked ice and serve in a Manhattan glass.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Cheers. Here we go.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's refreshing.
Fucking, oh, yeah.
I feel like you could run a mile or two and then get home and just drink this thing down.
Refreshing.
Nah, I don't think so.
I do hate it because now that I don't even remember what I said that I thought was so funny. But
Well, it was just you making fun of Caleb.
yeah, nobody's ever going to hear it. They never hear me do that. All right.
Seriously, though, this is one of my favorite cocktails.
It is
that
truly
you've made.
refreshing. And
I'm feeling it.
It's like a boozy lemonade almost, kind
It
of.
is.
It reminds me a little of those, you know how kind of beer and cocktail spritzers are the rage right now? It's like that, but if it was distilled down to its pure alcoholic essence.
I agree.
Well done.
I like it. Yeah. Like about 60% of the drinks in this book include gin, and a lot of them also include cognac and just bourbon. And there is a lot of rum, but bourbon and scotch is kind of thin on the ground.
Okay.
Probably because, wherever this guy was traveling exotically, he was going places where there was a lot of rum and gin.
Mm-hmm.
And Cointreau.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, please join us right now as we discuss episode 30 from season 2, Dinobot Island, part 1, written by Donald F. Glutt and animated by Toei.
Yeah, Toei. It looks nice.
There's no more ACOMs in the rest of the season.
Oh,
I look forward to the fun of ACOM in season 3. I'm
stoked.
Sick fucks.
It's what keeps me hanging on. Really.
All right, we're gonna kick off the episode with heavy action right off the bat. We've got Bumblebee and new character Powerglide. They've been sent on a special mission by Optimus Prime to investigate an energy disturbance that Teletran 1 detected in the ocean. They're flying to the source. Bumblebee's got a jetpack. Powerglide's in jet mode. This is an important mission that only the hottest of Autobot athletes can handle.
I do like the little communication things that are in the wrist, which everybody uses in this episode, but I kind of miss the Optimus Prime Bluetooth headset that comes out of his face.
Yeah.
I thought that was much cooler.
I think that would be, they should have
wanna pause
incorporated
that?
that into a toy. Now,
Yeah,
Bumblebee's...
I like the arm wrist, the wrist communicators. That's cool. It's just easier to move on with the story, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks cool.
That is the part where, with Bumblebee, when talking to Optimus after he hangs up, he says, I didn't know the big guy thought so much of me, which is where I noted down that, yes, that's something Mike Seibert might say.
I didn't know the big guy thought so much of me.
And
That's normally
Powerglide in true egomaniac fashions, like, well, he must have thought us, must think something of you if he sent you out with me.
I'm the best.
We're getting to know Powerglide right off the bat. That backpack of Bumblebees is actually included with the Masterpiece Bumblebee MP21G, which is a Generation 2 gold version of Bumblebee. And for whatever reason, they included that accessory with that version of the toy, which I'll show to you guys here. It's a gold Bumblebee. But they didn't include it with the original masterpiece Bumblebee. Fuck y'all, making me buy this gold thing so I can have a jetpack.
It's almost like it's some kind of toy selling racket.
So it's a profit deal.
He pulled down my bullshit cap. Wait, no, he's the
Thanks for pulling my cap down.
What? He pulled out my
He's on my bullshit cap.
he's the kid wearing the bullshit t-shirt.
By the way, all of
fuck.
our patrons, we're sending y'all bullshit caps.
It's just a hat with shit in it.
It's got real Missouri bullshit.
It's beautiful. We should send them all some sorrel, some genuine
Oh,
Ozark
that'll
I'll do
sorrel.
it, yeah. They get like a wilted mess.
That's in Booty Box Year 2 edition.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. It's
Send some
organic.
kangaroo shit.
Yeah. Greg just sends us back a dead plover in the mail.
But Ryan then finds a way to cook it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Do people eat plovers?
Oh, I can't imagine.
No, okay. People eat pigeons around here.
No, they do?
Yeah, pigeons are edible.
You can eat anything.
Yeah, I guess, but fuck.
I worked with a guy who used to sometimes make possum stew,
Well, yeah, that's...
which makes me see it.
There used to be hard times back here, back in the day.
It was like last year.
Oh.
Hey, we're going through a depression here.
It's true. It's true. Shit, this is the worst timeline. So
The team of Bumblebee and Powerglide approach this giant energy wave, and as they navigate it, they discover an uncharted island, but before they can investigate, they're attacked by a high-flying birdosaurus of some sort, a pterodon. Oh, wait, a pteranodon, actually, is what they call it.
yeah, I had a couple things. Why Powerglide runs into this energy field and is just like dancing on it is very strange. But
Because he's the best.
he's the best at what he does, like Wolverine.
He's like, look what I can do. I got too much pizzazz. So he knows what he's doing.
And then B says there's not supposed to be an island down there. How the fuck do you know? Like, it's a tiny island, and it's not like we've even mapped all the islands, and we live here.
Well,
It's funny because he goes from like, oh, that thing looks a bit like Swoop, and then in about 5 minutes' time, he's a fucking expert on dinosaurs.
Well, and this, I did look it up because it's a tiny island, and it's basically almost like the Savage Land from X-Men, but it isn't. I looked it up since they're both Marvel properties. There was a period while they were trying to mix the Transformers and the Marvel universe of the comics together, but it's not that. The Savage Land is off the coast of Antarctica, maintained by alien tech. And it does appear in the Marvel comics briefly, but then they just retcon all that.
I do believe, correct me if you know that I'm wrong, the Savage Land, the way it was incorporated, is related to the Dinobots because that is where Shockwave and the Dinobots first ran into each other millions of years before the Autobots and Decepticons were awakened by the Ark. Is that familiar to anybody, or am I just making that shit up?
They are in the Savage Land early in the comics, in that issue, I think. Yeah.
Validation.
But Spider-Man's in it too, so then they sort of retconned all that.
The animation at this part is fucking amazing. A lot of really cool shots of them battling this pterodon. Back to your earlier point about Powerglide, I'm assuming that energy that was coming out of the ocean was the energy that they were sent to investigate.
Yeah, which really just gets forgotten completely.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't remember these episodes from when I was a kid, so I went in pretty much cold. Like I knew the conceit of the plot, but I went in pretty cold, and I'm like, oh, that energy field and the fact there's a dome over that island is definitely going to be explained. Nope.
no.
Right.
Spoiler:
I
it's
thought
never
that was-
explained.
I thought the energy field was kind of like not the portal, but that sort of like
It was.
you had to go through that to find the island.
I did
A bit
too.
like,
Yeah. I thought like maybe.
Obscura.
I thought maybe like my impression was, because I go into everything cold with this, that it was some sort of that it was involved with the time warp, that it was an energy field
Right.
that was somehow cloaking the island, but that somehow the island had been brought from the past or
Yeah.
something like that.
And that's what I thought too, which they kind of do in part 2, but it's not like it. All it needed was I'll get to it in part 2, but all it needed was a throwaway line, and it would have made total sense. But they never really addressed the field at all, except
Right.
when Starscream out of the blue. Anyway, we'll get to it.
When they come back and forth, they all come through that energy
Yeah.
thing. Like they all come out of it before they go to the island. So
Maybe it's just a
yeah.
weird animation error that the people at Toei just didn't quite understand. It would have been better if it was a field that covered the whole island.
I will
because
definitely-
you could have flown around that field and still landed on the island.
Yeah, it's a tunnel. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
not.
that's what I'm saying. I think you have to go through that field,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of then you're in the little pocket
Yeah.
universe thing
Yeah,
or whatever.
I
where the
agree.
island
I just think it's handled awkwardly. There's a dome over the island, which
Why?
I'll get to it, but it's never explained in the show.
Powerglide saves Bumblebee from the Pterodon's clutches and crash lands safely on the island. Regrouping on land, Powerglide starts to repair Bumblebee's busted jetpack, while Bee marvels at the prehistoric flora and fauna all around them.
It does sound like when Powerglide comes to rescue him that he's calling him Bunglbee.
Hang in there, Bumblebee. Prepare for a daring rescue maneuver. Can't he just save a guy without doing a commercial?
I don't know if that was just me, but that's what it sounded like he says.
It's funny as well because I had a note down here where when he lands and he goes like, "Oh, are you okay, little bug buddy?" Like I had to rewind it because it sounded like he said, "Are you okay, little butt buddy?"
Oh no!
And I'm like, that's pretty funny. But then play what he said. If you play it, listen to what Bumblebee says straight after
Okay.
he says, like, "Bug buddy."
Okay.
You okay, little bug buddy?
Yeah, except for a ding in the caboose.
Okay.
Powerglide, I better stick
Okay.
to the road.
Wow.
Oh, my
All right,
jetpack.
well.
Got a little ding in the caboose.
Mhm.
Yeah, you okay, little butt buddy? Yeah, just got a sting in the caboose.
That's
Well,
that butt buddy is
That'll do it.
maybe on par with the Insecticunts that we met a couple episodes ago.
Did you want to talk about pterosaurs a little bit real quick?
I don't have anything on it. I thought you would.
I do. When we were kids, all these animals were basically called pterodactyls. Like
Yeah.
every winged animal was a pterodactyl, which means winged finger. Dactyl is Latin for finger. And do you know who you're not gonna, but Grady Stiles Jr. is?
Nope.
He was a murderer, and
Sure, of course he was.
he was a lobster boy, and lobster boys have it's called it's a condition called ectrodactyly, which is literally abortion finger in Latin. And basically, they were sideshow people that they look like they have claws, and that was their talent in the sideshow. And he killed a couple people. He's the most famous lobster boy that's ever been.
Okay.
What?
that
Wait.
makes sense though because the pterodactyls they do still have little sort of hands at the end of their wings.
Yeah, and
So-
and
Thanks for
pterodactyl-
trying to make sense of why he brought that up to begin with.
I don't shoehorn things in just because I want to talk about murderers. I know.
Yeah, huh? Right.
I will say, like, Powerglide fixes or tries to fix before they're interrupted the
Jetpack.
jetpack with the
Mhm.
power of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
how
And it works. It
That's how
starts working.
good he
Like
is.
you can see
That's
where,
right.
yeah, it starts in the dings start going away.
Smooth out.
He should have been shooting that at Bumblebee's ass to fix the ding in his caboose.
Yeah, it's weird. Like Powerglide is fixing this thing, but like I question his decision to drop ordnance on a thing that's carrying Bumblebee and then just watch him plummet to the ground.
Well, you know,
Does he always have that circular soul gem or whatever it is in his forehead? Is that part of the design always?
Yep, he always has a
Okay.
little circle. Yeah.
I will say at this part, I do love the Maudlin Strings version of the Transformers theme that's playing here. It's very. I mean, my emotions are already hyper close to the surface anyway, so it's
It's
very,
that sensitive version of the theme song, the Transformers theme
yeah.
song.
I cry every day.
There's a lot going on.
I like that you can get touched by music though.
Only whenever it's accompanying something
Sure.
visual, I guess.
Right.
But that wasn't even a sensitive
It's
part of
true.
the show.
No, I got stuff.
Out of nowhere, a giant horn-nosed T-Rex, I guess, appears. It forces Bumblebee and Powerglide to have to escape the island. And so Powerglide transforms and Bumblebee just Bronco rides him.
That thing smashes that jetpack.
Hold on to your transistors.
Or something.
I think we'll continue to see that the dinosaurs on this island are biologically suspect.
Are you talking about the size changing or?
I don't think that their biology matches what we
real
know about
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs today.
Well, they're
Like
pretty...
the horn on the nose.
No, these are like Don Glutt, who wrote this, was a huge like amateur paleontologist.
Right,
I
but
didn't
they're
know that.
still rooted in like the 80s knowledge.
It's true, but they are real dinosaurs. Like the ones that are described, there is a dinosaur that has that horn on
so
its
that's
nose.
not a tyrannosaur.
No.
Is what we're okay.
In
got
fact,
it.
I have that later, I think, in script deviations. But yeah, all the dinosaurs here are real dinosaurs. Well, let me amend that. Aside from that dinosaur we just saw, we don't really see any dinosaurs in this show, except at
The worst, I don't know, quote unquote, like mistakes as far as like dinosaur accuracy is probably the Dinobots themselves. Like Grimlock, is upright as a T-Rex and he sort of runs on his back feet like that, like
comically
completely upright. And isn't it like what Sludge is a Brontosaurus, but didn't they figure out or something that like that Brontosaurus wasn't actually a thing? Like
It's
that
like-
was like 4 different skeletons put together or something?
Yes, but I remember that because it's kind of like Pluto, because they went back and said Brontosaurus wasn't real, but now it is again. Except they did have
okay.
incorrect pieces put together, but I believe it is a
That's
species.
that-
But
That's
they
that
do
big dinosaur money getting involved.
exactly.
That's right.
But they do, yeah. Like to your point, Aaron, have 80s, which was already starting to be known that it wasn't this way of like their tails dragging on the ground, them living in swamps and shit like that.
But as a kid, like I watched this and I
Sure.
was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like
Yeah.
dinosaurs, like that's cool.
Was
like, I sort of was like Spike years a bit later, but
Was there a particular
much
fascination?
better.
Like I loved dinosaurs back in the 80s. Was there a particular, obviously Jurassic Park came out at the early 90s. Was there a particular fascination in the 80s with dinosaurs?
dinosaur fever.
I think they've
Or
always
or is that
been
just a
popular.
boy
I think so.
thing, like culturally American boys or boys worldwide, or
Boys
just fascinated?
Obviously, Greg is an example that it's boys worldwide.
Are your boys into dinosaurs, Caleb?
Not like I was. I mean,
Yeah.
it just
I was
seems like
super into them.
it just seems like, and I wonder what was up with the 80s that really led to
I think
that.
it was less to do, less to look at.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So you only sort of had the stock standard things like, well, there's books and comics. Sci-fi even then hadn't, like, you didn't have even the concept of like the Matrix and stuff like that. You didn't have that because it's like, oh, they went into a computer and half the people in the world were like, what the fuck's a computer?
Mhm.
So it was like, what do you do with sci-fi? It's like, well, we've already got big robots, and then, well, what else? Well, what else do kids like? They like
Uh-huh.
dinosaurs and space, and
Sure,
it's like, well,
sure.
we covered space, we've covered robots. Like, what's next? Dinosaurs, time travel. All right, throw it all in there. and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
make it fit.
Like, I guess that's about Land of the
Which is
Lost.
why I think the Dinobots are so popular in the first place, because
Sure.
they're big robot dinosaurs from space.
They
Right,
were
right.
and still are my favorite, even though they're given some short shrift.
They're like the culmination. They're like the intersection of so many things that
we
we
thought
liked.
were cool.
I will say as well as a shout out, Ryan, you nailed the Dinobot voices on the last recording we did for
Thank you.
Transformers Reanimated. Like you didn't do Grimlock, but you had the other 4,
hmm
and I was glad to hear that you did them all differently, because they are all different, and you had all the pictures. Like it was great. Like Slag
thank you.
being angry and
Did you work
Swoop
on
sort of
that?
being all excited.
I
It's
love
good.
I love the Dinobots so much. Like their voices are very clear in my head, so that was easy for me to do. But yeah, thanks. I was very proud of that myself.
That was good. I agree. They are very different. They're similar, but they are very different. So, make someone like read my words, and the voice sort of match.
I'll be vanity cutting out that compliment out of the final edit. There was a part I was going to play, and I'll just talk through it, that Powerglide described himself as a flying jet, and for half a second I thought he called himself Ryan Jet.
Oh,
You were like, I know that guy.
that's wild.
What?
What? That can't be. We're back at the base. The team and Spike are marveling at this concept, this idea that there's this island that time forgot. And of course, the Autobots have their share of dickheads who scoff at the idea of this island. They have enough headaches with their Dinobots, let alone dinosaurs.
Right.
I do love this part where Wheeljack is like, "Don't fucking talk about my kids like that." Like they have good points, you asshole.
We have enough headaches with Dinobots. Dinobots. The last thing we need is dinosaurs. Listen, the Dinobots have a lot of good qualities. I'll admit they're kind of clumsy, but lately I've been teaching them to use their powers with a little more finesse. Beryllium baloney, Wheeljack.
He kind of admits that, yeah, they're doofuses, but he's been helping them hone their abilities, and to prove it, he asks new character
this scene.
Blaster to transform
Red
for a
flags.
demonstration.
Red flags. Red flags.
Anytime Wheeljack says he has a demonstration, just get the fuck out of there.
It should be obvious to anyone in the room that anytime Wheeljack speaks, watch out, because his face literally lights up like a fucking emergency beacon. It's like, danger. I'm talking.
It's
Shit's
his
gonna
own.
blow up.
It's his own subconscious trying to tell people, like, no.
I'm not too sure about this.
Brain
So-
is flashing the light. Like, don't believe this guy. It's gonna go bad.
I think we skipped it real quick, but did you notice that Hupper says beryllium baloney?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun
Yeah,
call
yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
Classic phrase.
That's
to
another
be...
example. Well, where like, here's what all these characters do. Like, Bumblebee is excited about the island, and then Cliffjumper kind of shits on it, but then like Huffer really shits on it. Like, oh, that'll be right. We got now Dinobots are crap. Like he's just.
I just like the slag
bloody-
says it in the movie.
Yeah, that they bring it back.
I was really confused when I watched this. So Wheeljack tells Blaster to transform and play something nice. But then Blaster transforms, but there's no music. You just hear like a record scratching, like just like it's playing on nothing.
Oh, I wonder if that's different. It depends on your
Tuning in,
version.
isn't he?
Let's look.
I thought he was like tuning into the signal,
Demonstrate your
like a radio.
See, because
laser breath.
and then I'm talking about before Grimlock. Yeah, before Grimlock play. See, that's the thing.
I see what you're
It's
saying.
really weird because he transforms and then nothing happens. I'm like, what's going on? So I thought Tubi's audio was fucked up. I even went to my 25th anniversary set and played this episode. I'm like, oh, there's no music. So I don't understand. So then Grimlock does use his fire breath to turn Blaster on,
Right.
but it's really weird, like because he tells him to play something, but then he doesn't play anything.
I'm thinking
He
he's
doesn't
maybe
mind.
telling
He
him.
plays
To,
online.
I know. Well, oh, wait, he does immediately.
No, he stops and he goes, "All right, listen, I'll play you a song." Whatever. He transforms and you hear like the little
He's dialing.
record scratchy thing. And
Yeah,
you see
he's
that,
getting
like,
it
see
ready.
down on his design.
I think
the
he's
little
queuing
lights
it up,
flash and
right?
stuff.
Yeah, I
But
guess
he plays music. Yeah.
he does, but only after Grimlock turns it on.
Right.
That's what confused me.
It's I
play
can
it. Play it real quick. I want to see. I have a hunch, but I have to hear it.
with audio.
Yes.
All right.
I know what he's doing. He's scanning. He's scanning through the radio stations.
Right.
That's the sound.
Yeah.
Right.
And Grimlock somehow helps him hit the right funky
I
station.
just think it's fucking
Right.
stupid.
It's weird, but I think that's what's in essence.
I mean, it's weird to use flame to turn him on
Yeah.
to
It's
begin
weird.
with.
Yeah, but he's trying to find.
It's
a
just
station.
the worst way to introduce a character. I know it's just to introduce Blaster, but just have him play music. It doesn't have to be part of the demonstration.
But then what's Grimlock gonna do to show that he's got this new
Anything
laser breath?
else, to light a candle.
Light a cigarette.
It is weird. It is a dumb version of the
Sorry.
demonstration. Like, this is what you've been training them to do: turn on stereo equipment from a distance. We have remote controls in the 80s.
Well, Wheeljack's he's fucking weird.
He's very weird.
You know what we're always having problems with around here? When we want to hear tunes, but Blaster's all the way across the other room.
Watch this.
Maybe before this episode, like Blaster was a bit like indignant about playing music. They'll be like, "Play music, Blaster." He'd be like, "No." And now they're like, "Play music, or we'll get the Dinobot to burn you again."
no.
All right, I'll play the song. Don't worry about it.
Was the play something nice supposed to be a dig that Blaster likes music that the rest of the Autobots don't like that crazy rock and roll?
I don't know. I mean, jazz has
Basically,
been around.
Grimlock is the new enforcer to keep Blaster in line.
Yeah.
Well, Blaster plays after getting like a laser breath fired on him by Grimlock, which doesn't look very laserish either, since we're picking all this apart. He plays that classic funk rock track known as Autobot or generic rock disco themed. I'll just refer to it as that cool song that they use to always show how awesome Jazz and Blaster are. plays loudly, perhaps too loudly, as it annoys all the Autobots and confuses the other Dinobots who think it's now time to demonstrate their powers, which kicks off a commotion of Autobots and Dinobots bumping into each other, shooting flames all over the place, busting up walls, and generally just creating chaos.
I fucking hate this scene.
Really?
I don't like it when they're portrayed as toddlers who can't control their body.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Sorry.
I like it. I don't. It's.
How many
They are
times?
only about a year old.
It's true, but it's like the way that they're shown in this animation sequence is like they have no. I guess maybe they are still learning to control their bodies, but it's just like it makes me so mad. Like you can't just stop breathing fire. What?
Apparently not. Do they destroy Teletran? Do they destroy Teletran 1 again?
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Almost.
Right,
They're basically headed towards Teletran 1, which creates the dramatic action that is going to take us to a commercial break.
And of course, Wheeljack says duck or it's Barbecue City because Ron Friedman is stoked about barbecue. He puts it in every fucking episode.
By the way, I guess shout out to
Michael.
Australian listener Ugly Mike. He agreed with you on that, and I have to say you're both wrong.
Yep. He sent us a message on Patreon saying he agreed that barbecue doesn't make sense when they say it with Jazz says it with Inferno.
Yeah.
Or no, that's even a different episode. It doesn't matter. We don't have to relitigate this.
We're gonna have a special episode dedicated to this topic. Yes, all the Dinobots are getting together, and it's getting pretty rambunctious.
I thought it was a weird cheat where when we see Snarl and Swoop transform, they do it behind a pillar.
Yeah.
Like, did you save that much money by not showing that transformation?
It's kind of like when Ironhide
like-
transformed in Transformers the movie for the first time.
Exactly.
How many times has Teletran 1 been destroyed?
Well, that's what I said. I put this note. It wouldn't be an episode if in the arc if Teletran 1 weren't in imminent danger.
Yeah.
And I think it's always the kind of danger that takes you to a commercial break.
They should at least have continuity, and every time Teletran 1 is destroyed, the next one's Teletran 2, and then 3.
We'd be up to like 34.
Yeah.
They did have Teletran 2 in season 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
But there was never any indication that Teletran 1 was destroyed in the movie.
Yeah. I
The
guess
the arc is destroyed in season 3.
Is it?
Trypticon destroys it.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. Was Teletran 2 not in season 3 until that happened?
I think they have Teletran 2. Like, they have basically Teletran 1 is the arc, and Teletran 2 is in Autobot City, and then Trypticon destroys the arc, and I guess they're just like, well, we got Teletran 2, that'll do.
Teletran 1's finally like, thank you, God.
Sweet death.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They need to figure out a way to personify Teletran 1, sort of like Vision, or maybe they put him in one of those Interstellar style big obelisk body things that
and they still destroy him.
Yeah.
They really should have done an episode like that with like they did with Autobot Spike, where also a Dawn Glut episode, but where Teletran 1 is put into a body and goes berserk. I think that'd be neat.
I hope you're taking notes.
Frankenstein monster type of thing. Yeah.
We're back from commercial. We gotta stop these dinosaur dumbasses before they destroy Teletran 1. Trailbreaker creates a force shield protecting the supercomputer, and then Inferno and new character Red Alert start putting out the flames. Old characters, Ratchet and Sparkplug, start conducting repairs. Meanwhile, the Dinobots have to be stopped. The tough guy trio of Cliffjumper, Sideswipe, and Ironhide square up to dust up with the dinos, but Prime tells them to stand down and commands Grimlock to get his gang under control.
What? Okay, right here. We're at like 650. What the shit are Ratchet and Sparkplug fixing? And we just saw Sparkplug with his favorite wrench. Anyway, that thing, it's clearly on wheels or something. Looks like I don't know if anybody's going to get this. Looks like a sarcophagus from Stargate SG-1. It's just a strange thing that he just Snarl just knocks out of
And
the
then
way.
the tail whips it away.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you put that on wheels? And also, why are you repairing that where they're not
repairing just the wrong thing?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see any damage to whatever that piece of equipment is.
Damage now.
I do like that the three, like, hot-headed,
Mhm.
ready to fight Autobots are all red as well. A little bit of,
We'll fight him to a standstill. That seems rash.
yeah.
I like how Optimus Prime is like,
Mhm.
get your shit under control here, Grimlock. Come on.
I like Prime a lot in these 2 episodes, actually. But yeah, he gives Grimlock the opportunity to bring his knuckleheads under control.
Yeah. End this chaos. I
Mm.
like that.
Transform it in chaos.
Which it seems like that should have been an easy thing to do
Yeah.
very early on.
This is what I'm saying.
Way
like,
before
maybe,
any of this happened.
Maybe you could have just not been idiots. Anyway.
Well, it's unfortunate, but the Dinobots, they're just too big to train at this Portland headquarters. And you know where they could exercise their skills?
Out fucking side.
Outside on the football field.
Well, how about that prehistoric island they just
Oh.
discovered? Doesn't that make sense? There's
Oh.
dinosaurs there.
Makes
These
way
guys are
more sense.
Dinobots.
What's the worst that could happen?
Certainly not anything with time-changing
Honestly,
ramifications.
The Dinobots. I have this point later, but if you pluck them from these 2 episodes, almost nothing changes, except the end of episode 2.
Oh.
Because you need them to stop Megatron at the end.
Yeah, but everything else there's no reason to have them.
But they're
Well, they wouldn't go to Dinobot Island if they didn't. if they
Yeah,
didn't go
but
there.
yes, that's true. That's true. That the
And Megatron-
conceit is
Megatron
that
would
that's how the Megatron
discovered
finds it. I guess what I'm saying is the Dinobots don't do anything. They're just
They're the Indiana Jones of this
Until-
episode.
and I will have more on that in the next episode. But anyway,
I'll be on the edge of my seat
yeah,
for your perspective.
You bought the ticket for the whole. No, never mind.
Oh,
You
what
bought
if
the
I-
whole seat,
See,
but
there
you
we
only
go,
need the
see?
edge.
I do like that Prime is like it is like they are toddlers though, Ryan.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you said, where it's like, oh, that's all right, I'll clean it up. You're like, no, Grimlock will clean up the mess he made. You know, it's like if you clean it up for him, he'll just make more mess.
I guess in a way, Dinobot Island is like sending them to daycare. In a way, like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
like
blame
doggy daycare, dino daycare.
Dino daycare. I
Or one of those
yeah.
It was
one
kind. It is kind of.
camps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you don't love your kids, you send them to camp for a month.
Yeah, with the drill sergeant and stuff for bad kids.
Oh, the Scared Straight
Yeah,
program.
exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
That's a terrible thing that shouldn't exist.
It doesn't.
it's-
Does it work? I don't know.
No.
You're gonna say it doesn't work.
No, man.
I
I
say.
don't know.
I say if I was in 7th grade and some giant man told me I was gonna get fucked in the ass.
Yeah, that's not going to cause a whole lot of psychological problems down the road.
You get a little ding in your caboose.
It is weird that we're 8 minutes in and just now see a Decepticon ravage
I
spying.
mean, they haven't had a need. The Autobots are just fucking their own shit up.
Yeah.
If the Decepticons left the Autobots alone, the
Oh.
Autobots would probably end up just messing their own stuff up
That
constantly.
we just skipped past it at the 9-minute mark. But Wheeljack waving as the Dinobots fly away made me. I felt very happy. It was very sweet.
Why wouldn't he
Like
go to
he-
the island with them to like make sure they were comfortable there?
Who knows what else he has to build that can explode?
That's what they should fucking send Wheeljack to Dinobot Island.
It's
They'd be
true.
like, build your shit here because if it explodes,
Also,
that's fine.
I guess it must be summer break because Spike just goes to the island.
That's right.
Maybe it's a weekend.
Maybe it's a weekend.
Yeah.
As we've discussed many, many times, there's no security by Autobot headquarters and leaving people like Soundwave free reign to just spy away. And that's what he's doing. And he reports back to Megatron, who's very pleased at this finding. He's intrigued at the idea of this island. And so Megatron commands Laserbeak to follow the Autobots and continue the reconnaissance.
Yep.
That's what happened. And guess what? They've got wrist communicators.
have-
Yeah,
yeah,
Soundwave
as well.
uses it too, which is cool, but isn't he just all communication equipment?
Yeah, he probably doesn't need one.
Hmm.
We're approaching the island. Powerglide conducts some
Oh
gut-wrenching
my God.
aerial maneuvers, but eventually they approach what Spike dubs Dinobot Island.
Poor Spike. He's gonna like hurl all of the inside.
I
the
do
cockpit
love
of
the
that thing.
scream. Can you play the scream that Spike does? Because it's so funny. The way he screams, "Oh no!" when Powerglide starts being a dickhead.
Oh no!
That was really unbelievable.
It does look like he's ill. In the script, it actually does say he puts his hand over his mouth like he's gonna puke.
Oh, see, all right. Yeah.
Just see it splatter all over the inside of Powerglide's windshield.
I know. I'm in the future now.
See, they sort of come out of the.
You're
energy
right.
There.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think the thing that just makes it so confusing is it's just a random tube of energy coming out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And
That's what I see because I'm future Ryan and this is past Ryan that wrote this because he didn't remember and they said, what is this energy field? They still haven't addressed what it is and the Autobots seem to forget about it entirely in favor of just having island fever. And I say, I guess it's addressed at some point. And also, why is the island under a translucent dome? But we don't do any of that.
And the translucent
I wonder
dome
if
is...
it was. That to me seems like it might be some sort of miscommunication in the animation process. Like, is it a barrier? Is it a dome? Like maybe it's meant to be the same thing. You know, like you fly through the energy thing, and the energy barrier is meant to be.
So they
dome.
just illustrated kind of both.
Yeah, well, that's the last time I'll bring it up until the next episode because I don't want to beat a dead horse.
That's the last time I'll bring it up until I bring it up again.
Exactly.
I do. We missed it before, but I do like the joke where Powerglide's like, it's a jet, it's Powerglide, and then Grimlock's like, follow Powerglide.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that was kind of adorable. Grimlock trying to be relatable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I did also when Powerglide, upon arriving on the island, he says, "Into the line, Spike," and I just pictured him ejecting him out of the cockpit. And we don't see Spike get out. We'll see in just a second. So whenever Powerglide transforms, I also imagine him being splattered all over the inside of him.
And for a guy who's like, look at me, I can do all these tricks and maneuvers. Like Powerglide doesn't land very well.
No, he's like the greatest American hero.
Slides in, yeah.
A lot of volcanoes on that island.
Yeah, it's a terrible painting.
So prehistoric,
it's
baby.
Awful.
Yeah.
Well, they are approaching the island along with Laserbeak behind them. They land and they peep the scene.
All the flying scenes look really good. Like the animation is, I guess it's because they're not really moving. So they could take the time to illustrate it.
I guess I'll have to hand it to Wheeljack. He can make robots fly.
It's true.
But he can't, that's about it.
He can't fly.
He can't do that to
He can't
himself.
make other robots fly. He can only build robots from scratch that can fly.
Yeah. It's weird. He's weird.
Wasn't Ratchet involved in the construction of the Dinobots too? We're not giving him enough credit.
He definitely seems to be like an absentee parent.
Maybe there was a divorce.
Yeah, I feel like he and Wheeljack got him in the divorce settlement, and when Ratchet's like, "Fuck your kids." That's not a Ratchet voice, but that's a Wheeljack voice.
That's a Dave Chappelle, like,
"Fuck your kids."
Fuck
your couch.
Fuck your couch.
Okay, so this part is funny to me where Laserbeak lands and this little fucking pterosaur comes creeping up. I immediately thought it looked horny and was trying to fuck him.
It was pretty cartoonish, the face on that pterosaur after Laserbeak gave him a little warning shot from the eyeballs.
It did. In the script, it does say the animal is just curious, but we all know what that means. It's in the same way I'm curious about golden showers.
Okay. That's awkward.
It's got a sting
Is
in
it?
the caboose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pee on anybody or get peed on, but like, I would do it if somebody wanted.
I don't even like it.
Well, what do you think squirt is?
I don't want nothing.
It's pee.
I want none of this.
You never been squirted on?
No.
I'll show you some.
No,
I'll show you some documents.
See, you just
Documents.
I,
Documents that have been squirted.
All right.
Hey, my girlfriend squirted on these. Take a look.
Stop
And
it.
it might be nice to be just asked. Like, I've never been asked. I mean,
Got some Mitt Romney binders.
Is he a squirter?
his
Might be.
Okay, we're on Dinobot Island, which has everything.
Greg, I hate it when they do this kind of stuff.
Normally, we just let Ryan do this kind of thing.
Like an asshole.
There's enough space here for the Dinobots. You got all these active volcanoes, oil pools, steaming geysers. Good thing the Decepticons don't know about these energy sources, except, of course, they do.
Now-
Laserbeak out.
Look at all that energy.
It's all
it
just
is-
right there.
It's like Autobot City in Transformers the movie, where everything is within like an acre distance of itself. All the power sources.
I mean, really, they should have built Autobot City here.
That's true. I think I skipped this part, but whenever Sludge lands, he says, "More room for big Sludge," and it's like that's now my porn name for a trash film.
Trash film.
Yeah, like I'm wallowing in wet trash,
What?
jerking off.
Is that a genre?
Yeah, I'm creating it, baby. I'm a job creator.
You introduced us to the concept of the hole in the wall genre.
Oh, really?
Well, the person, not glory hole, but
Oh, stuck porn?
Stuck porn.
Is this a new thing?
They're not
that I don't
stuck
know
in a
about?
hole in the wall. They're like
Well,
stuck
I
in
know,
an
but I'm
appliance.
saying, is this a new?
However,
well, right.
I get.
They can be
wanna
stuck
see,
in anything.
I want to see your version of this. I want to see someone like stuck in a hole.
Well, maybe
No, I
somebody.
don't want to really see it though. I don't want to see it.
Maybe somebody was trying. There's a fence between two property lines, but there's like one broken slat, and you're like, oh, maybe
you know
I
what?
can.
Actually, I literally have seen that. There, I think it was Osa Lovely who was in an episode one where she broke through the wall, and the guy's fucking her from behind, and the other one she's sucking from the other side of the wall.
Oh, there's guys on both sides.
It was an office.
Wait a minute. Stuck in an office?
Yeah, in a wall, in a hole.
How'd she knock through the wall?
I don't remember the details. I wasn't focused on that part.
All right, hang on. Let's see. We're
No,
searching.
we're not.
Stop the show for it.
Google search.
No, let's-
Osa.
Osa Lovely, I think is
Please
her name.
continue.
We're on the island.
Might be
Yeah.
Osa. Go on.
How's it spelled?
OSO.
Okay. The Dinobots love their new home, guys, but Spike has gone off to explore on his own.
And I'll be careful.
Just then, a giant bat-winged sort of Tyrannosaurus flyer.
This is also a real dinosaur. Or, I'm sorry, pterosaur. Pterosaurs are lizards, not dinosaurs.
What's it based on?
I think I have it in the script deviations, but it is a real animal.
I don't even remember anything like this in my...
I really like this one. I think it looks cool.
It does.
I think it's cool too, except why are those eggs so big?
Yeah, the dinosaur takes Spike to his mountain nest, or her mountain nest, rather. And yeah, the eggs are as big as the dinosaur.
Yeah. Reptile, please.
Thank you.
Pterosaur, just say pterosaur. But yeah, that would have turned that thing inside out.
Maybe that's the male.
The female could be larger, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Then Swoop comes to save him.
That's right. Swoop saves Spike from this threat and then drops him off by a lakeshore clearing and just leaves him there and says, hey, you'll watch where you're going now, right?
And he's immediately in danger again, like a toddler, like a child.
I like that shot of Swoop like picking up Spike
Yeah,
out of.
it's very cool.
I think it's a good. Every now and then they kind of remind you like how big these things are, like like the compared to the humans, and I thought that did a good. Like the perspective's really good in that shot where he sort of grabs onto his feet. Or
Yep.
whatever it is.
It was very cool.
That's Toei for you, doing really
That's
cool
right.
visuals.
An ACOM version of this particular episode would have been messed.
It would have
up.
looked like Scooby-Doo at the prehistoric island.
Gumby.
It's nice.
Swoop has dropped off Spike, and because we're on an island of perpetual danger, just as he leaves, a long-necked, whatever we want to call it.
Elasmosaurus.
I guess we'll just call it that.
I remember that. That's what it's called in the script, and that's what it's a
Not a
plesiosaur.
plesiosaur, that's what I thought it was.
Elasmosaurus is a plesiosaur. It's a genus, I believe.
Well, some Loch Ness looking motherfucker peeps its head out of the water,
Also not a dinosaur.
grabs Spike, and
What
drags
the
him
hell?
towards the middle of the lake. And now it's time to go to
Just
commercial.
Fucking toying with
I
him.
know. I made a comment that Spike's shirts are of very good quality.
It's like Superman.
His shirts do not tear.
He's got the double stitch.
It's that
He's-
hard.
He's got that Michael Jordan Hanes. They don't bacon.
The hard hats have good quality shirts.
The Union Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a hard hat in a while.
No, I know. I miss them. Whoa! He's look
Yeah.
at him.
Spike would have his neck broken.
It's again invulnerable Witwicky.
Yeah.
So we're back from commercial. Spike is screaming for help, and this is where Powerglide
Does
jumps
nothing.
into action. Or yeah, I guess he just jumps towards the pond.
I like that line though. the top in air. Was it the top's in air rescue talent is on its way?
And he's
just
like, this isn't
he
really
doesn't
my
speak
bag.
like any other. He doesn't speak like any other Transformer. Like he has the best like
Yeah, it's very cool.
what do you call it? Vocabulary.
Right.
Is it?
Like he says tripsickery earlier in the episode. Like what the fuck is that? You know.
Do you think his character was based on a Jackie Gleason character, or is that just the kind of the away we go line?
I think there's a lot of Ralph Cramden in there as far as he talks himself up and he inflated competence. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, I'm the best. It's just I haven't been given a chance," all that kind of stuff. Like, you know. But yeah, just the general like, "Hey, look at me! Like I'm the best!" Like all that kind of shit. Like for a kids show in the '80s to have a character who's a good guy but kind of a dick, like that was pretty rare, really. So I think that might be why I gravitated towards him, because he was different. You know, like he wasn't all noble and does the right thing like Optimus Prime. You know, he was like, "Look at me, I'm cool. Like I'm the best." Like.
Yeah.
You know, fig jam, you know?
Yeah.
So Swoop steps up into the scene. He TIE fights his way towards the creature, and that creature ultimately releases Spike, who swims towards Sludge and is thus saved.
So, okay. This fight, there's no fight, actually.
No.
God, Spike is getting whipped around so hard.
Which there is... so he just swims up on Sludge. What is the point of this scene? We just saw this exact same scene.
Right.
More dinosaur action.
In a two-parter, this is unforgivable.
I don't know. Just
Maybe
more
to show that Dinobots are still, I don't know, they're still good guys, or they are capable in the right setting.
I guess
like,
I just feel like Swoop rescuing Spike from the pterosaur's nest. We got it. Especially since they don't do anything in this one.
I'll go with Greg. My impression when I saw this was a sense of, okay, they're in their element now. Like Dinobot Island was a good idea for these guys.
See how good they are when they've like this is what they're for.
And that's why the Dinobots just need to stay there and stay away from the Autopod base.
Well, then they should have combined these two scenes, because to have them back to back is ridiculous.
I suppose.
Yeah,
right.
it is a bit superfluous. I think there's you don't really need both, but
My takeaway is just that still nobody gives a fuck about Spike. They just dropped him off in the middle of nowhere.
Well, they did rescue
They
him.
rescued him. That's a running theme with Daniel, though. Even his son in the movie. Like they, on one level, you can think, oh, well, they're Autobots, and mentally they just
You can trust them,
they don't,
whatever.
or they don't take into consideration the fragility of human beings.
Or you could also look at it as they're like, these people have their own agency. If they want to come, then it's on you.
Of course, I mean, but Ryan's boiled it down before. It's from a writing standpoint. It's we want to place a human character in here that falls into there's a crisis and and they get rescued or something happens.
Sure.
Over and over and over again.
Right.
Plus the human, like as far as the Transformers are concerned, the humans are kind of like moths. You know, it's like they live for about a day. You know,
It is
It's
true.
just a blip.
It's like it's like a hamster to us, basically.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, there's billions of them. There'll be another one. Don't worry
That's
about
weird to think, guys.
You know?
As old as they're millions of years old. All of this.
Like, oh, did your human die? Just flush it. We'll get another one. They won't tell you.
Yeah.
Or
I won't know
at
that.
best, you bury it in a shoebox.
These events are just a blip on their radar of their lives. Just
It's
a
true.
blip.
I mean, their war
now-
has been millions of years.
Yeah.
Now, if Spike had like lobster hands, they would probably be more memorable, and they'd look after him.
Because that's cool and interesting. He can make some money at the fair.
Spike and Powerglide, they pack up to say adios to this island, and they leave the Dinobots to their various CrossFit routines.
Yeah.
Spike says, "I'd write, but you can't read."
Oh yeah.
That's not nice.
I have a comment. I wrote, Dinobots are illiterate?
That's really weird.
I'd write, but you can't read.
They can't? Why?
So Dinobots are illiterate.
Like, come on, kids. These guys are dumb. I'm going to beat you over the head.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you got it from the earlier moments at Autobot headquarters.
Not
but-
only are they like too clumsy, they're disenfranchised and they're not going to get ahead in the world.
Or maybe they are. I mean, you hear those stories about people that got famous, but yet somehow never learned to read throughout.
Yeah, that's a failure of the system. We don't want to portray that as a positive.
Well, nobody's doing that here.
Oh, I just
Like the president.
Yeah, oh, hey-oh. Exactly.
Don't talk about our politics.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about our politics.
We're at Decepticon headquarters. Laserbeak returns with the hot tea on the raw, primitive place in the ocean, ripe for plundering.
Did anybody else think it was weird that Megatron caught him and put him into Soundwave?
Soundwave is like, that's assault.
It's very strange.
Did he push? It'd be cool if Megatron also pushed the door shut.
Yeah, it just feels weird and intimate.
Slammed it shut like a
It's like, this is how the toy works, kids. You put this one into this one, and you close this.
This
and then,
whole, I don't know. Maybe
sell the toy.
Yeah, maybe this is me. A lot of this show seems sexual. I mean, you got Big Sludge, you got that reptile sneaking up on Laserbeak, you got insertions.
All you.
Do I just need to jerk off?
No, you don't.
Well, not now.
No, okay.
Unless maybe the audio. That'll be a Patreon special.
Powerglide flies a teenager to a secret island.
Oh no! I never thought about that.
Holy shit!
Oh my god!
I've slowed down.
Is Bill Clinton on the back of Swoop?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Bill Clinton's like, I'm happy to be here for the 36th time.
It's like Prince William's there too. Is it William? What's
for Andrew?
Andrew, yeah. Prince
but William too. Let's throw them all on
all
there.
of
Or they all love Dinobot Island.
This is where Epstein has a summer home.
where Big Sludge is in control of the place.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Starscream is a bit worried about the strange waves. Could they be dangerous? Well, fuck you, Starscream. We're going to go ahead and leave immediately for this island.
Yeah.
Look at all that power.
Bubbling oil, the
steam,
dynamic energy from the cracks.
Canyons.
Yeah.
So there's another nod to, like, if you hadn't seen anything of the show before, it's like, well, we're going to tell you how Starscream is kind of insubordinate to Megatron.
Here's the dynamic right here.
He's actually kind of doing his role as a scientist and saying,
yeah,
hey,
it's true. Around.
This is maybe fucked up.
They flips back and forth all the time, but this is how it should be.
I think Starscream might be manic depressive. Because sometimes he's really like crazy, and sometimes he's like, I don't know if we should be doing this.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely manic.
He was voiced by Chris Latta.
Chris Latta was
excellent point.
Manic depressive.
Perfect. Well,
he's dead.
Yeah, he is.
I guess Cobra...
that could only be more interesting for Ryan if he was murdered.
Well,
I guess Cobra Commander was manic depressant. Cobra had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Wheeljack is a bit strange.
Yeah. Oh god. I don't know what's
all the Chris Latta
I don't know
characters.
what's wrong with Wheeljack, man.
The Dinobots are training on their island, unawares that the Decepticons will soon descend upon them. Target practice time, check. Flying stuff, check. Fire stuff, check. Tail stuff. They're getting better, but it's still not more better enough.
It's true. I did think it was cool that Snarl is firing with his sword. That's very neat. That happens in a couple episodes. It already happened. You passed it.
I'm just watching.
You're just watching.
I'm letting it get
not
caught
reacting
up
to what I said at all.
Oh my god, yeah, that sword thing.
Fuck off.
That was pretty awesome.
Man, I wish you were the one who was dead.
The Decepticons arrive. This place is full of energy, rich enough to rule the solar system. Blah, blah. Bizarre energy worries Starscream. Blah, blah.
Yeah, this is the part where Slag burns the water away from the pond, and there's this guy down there. He's like, hey, what do you want from me?
God damn it.
That's a Mastodontosaurus, by the way.
That's how I'd react like that, too.
It's Venom. Also, not a dinosaur. That's an amphibian.
Was it around at the time of the dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the script, Don Glutt puts in parentheses, not an elephant, because it's a Mastodontosaurus, and they didn't want the animators to get confused, I guess.
It'd be funny if he burns the way there's a mastodon.
There's an elephant down there, yeah.
Of course, when we see the next episode, I'll believe anything. Once the cavemen come in, I've got a lot to say about those guys.
The barbarians?
The barbarians.
Yeah. Oh, I got some stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'd be funny if in the notes he's like not an elephant, but then you see Ron Friedman's handwritten
An
notes.
elephant.
It
He
says,
just crosses out
yes,
knob.
yes, it is.
A barbecued elephant.
Oh yeah.
Megatron and his buddies, including new character Blitzwing, break out the Energon cubes. They will not stop until they've drained the island dry. And there's some lightning that goes off. It frightens Starscream. Is this a bad omen?
He's very apprehensive about everything in this one. He calls it a bad omen, which is very strange. But
Which
I mean,
also is something a scientific person probably would not say.
yeah. Well, okay. So before that, we do get, yes, like you said, Aaron, we get to see Blitzwing. We also get to see the Coneheads, which is kind of cool. I had Dirge. And like all the Seekers' names, aside from Starscream and Dirge, are hard for me to remember because Starscream is just second in command, and Dirge is the one I had. I do think, and I mentioned this before, it's interesting that the Coneheads' naming convention is that they're real words. Like Dirge, Ramjet, and Thrust are real words, and the non-Conehead Seekers, the OG Seekers, are made-up words.
The OG Seekers, except, well, Skywarp and Thundercracker, they're kind of like, this is what they do. Like Skywarp warps in the sky, and Thundercracker cracks thunder. Like
in one episode.
Like, they got a bit more creative, I think, the further it went on.
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote do we know who named the Dirge and the Coneheads?
I don't know. I would assume Bob Budiansky, but I don't know for sure.
Oh, we see a new Energon cube ability here with Thundercracker's cube sends a weird pinkish beam into the lava to suck up its energy.
Yeah, it seems like the cubes at this point can attract energy. I don't care about it. That doesn't bother me.
They can do whatever. Those cubes can do anything.
And then
did they show, is this the first time that they show the little funnels coming out of the cubes as well?
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, normally you see them like shove an empty cube into a turbine
or like under pouring oil.
Right. Well, and now here we have Blitzwing holding a cube, and he's just catching the hot lava from an exploding volcano.
Super dangerous.
He's like, got that done.
This is again where we're seeing them collecting Energon in like one off. Like, how long is this going to take?
And it's, again, I don't know how much energy a cube is worth. But sometimes you see them and they'll have stacks and stacks and stacks of cubes. And then sometimes you'll see they'll put in so much energy. And I think this is one of those times in these two episodes that they've extended so much energy to get to the island, try and collect all the energy. And they have like 5 cubes. Mm-hmm. Was it worth it, guys?
Like, I think it's the Insecticon syndrome where they give them 1.
Have a cube.
Yeah.
I do like that Megatron just backhands Starscream as well. Just like, like, oh, it's lightning. What are we going to do? He's just like, shut the
Stop being a bitch, Starscream.
He's just had enough of his shit.
Swoop continues his training and discovers the Decepticon activity. He flies back to report it. Those fucks don't belong here. Grimlock commands his team to get rid of those colonizers.
Yeah, and I was like, finally, we're about to have a fight. Yes, fight somebody. Nope. We cut back to a goddamn library.
The most exciting place on Earth.
Yeah, the Dinobots. Let's go get them. But wait, first. And I'm like, oh shit, there's 4 minutes left in this movie. We're not going to, or this episode, we're not going to see shit. I started getting annoyed.
Calm down.
No.
Okay.
This is why the people are here.
That's why you're the 3rd favorite APDC member. Back at the city.
It's a roost!
As Ryan was referring to, Bumblebee and Spike are exiting a public library when a strange portal opens up in the middle of the street. And what comes out? Prehistoric barbarians.
Riding mammoths.
Mammoths.
I do love mammoths.
Elephants.
and they've got swords.
Yeah, I have that point too.
And Viking helmets. And I like how they talk.
The gibberish?
Yeah.
They're just trampling everything in their path, causing Spike and Bumblebee to be buried under the rubble of an abandoned building.
It is. What the fuck part of town is this?
That's where the library is. That makes sense.
Yeah, they chase them into the mammoth is like budding this building that has boarded up windows.
I guess it's just to kind of say, hey, don't worry, there's nobody in this building.
And no door, just
maybe
a giant archway.
Except for squatters.
Yeah, they're homeless people, but who cares?
Right.
It's not Man of Steel. Yeah, they just
I will say just a small just aside. Spike does say mammoths haven't existed for 50,000 years, which is inaccurate by about 40,000 years.
Yeah.
We're back to the island. The Dinobots approach the Decepticons. Megatron flies toward a giant herd of the natural-born dinosaurs and creates a stampede that pushes the Dinobots off a cliff into a tar pit, where they sink to their doom.
Do I need to say that Dinobots can fly?
Oh yeah.
And especially swoop.
Swoop.
Can they fly in their
They only fly in robot mode.
Yeah.
So
they don't fly in their dino
except for
mode.
swoop.
Do you think that?
True.
Do you think it's possible that they just weren't smart enough to transform?
That's maybe, I guess, but it's still annoying.
Yeah.
It's just made me. It was irritating. Also, Swoop's so high above him, and then they do have a throwaway little animation where Grimlock falls on him, and that's how Swoop falls into the pit.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just so clear that Don Glut likes dinosaurs but doesn't like the Dinobots.
What?
They doesn't do anything with them. Yeah, that shot of Megatron soaring up into the sky after that is very cool.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
It's a great pose.
There's a GIF. There you go, listeners. There's another GIF.
Farewell, Dinobots. Farewell.
So,
With the death of the Dinobots, that brings us to the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, how do you feel? I mean, it's going to be weird this next episode. We're at Dinobot Island, but there's not going to be any Dinobots because
They're dead?
yeah.
it is odd that Megatron would think that would kill them. Like, oh, they're definitely dead. They're just in it. Like, they don't breathe. So why are they dead?
Yeah.
What a convoluted way to get them to take care of them. I'm going to create a stampede of dinosaurs to knock them off a cliff into some. Couldn't he just shoot them and knock them in the tar?
At the end of that, when they pan out, they should have showed that. What is that? That amphibian that got
the
standing there,
the not Brontosaurus,
standing there going. Mm-hmm.
Or are you talking about the one that Slag burned the water away?
Yes,
or,
yes.
Okay.
Where he's like, what goes around comes around. Karma's a bitch.
Yeah, but you guys get fucked up. I'm out of here. It just looks like to do a Goodfellas voice.
All right, well, we have some voice actors. We covered Blaster whenever we were doing our Transformers the Movie days, but it's worth reiterating that he was voiced by radio personality Edward L. Buster Jones. He was on 26 episodes of the Transformers. He also did some voices on G.I. Joe and the Real Ghostbusters. He actually replaced Arsenio Hall as the voice of Winston Zedmore on that show. Also, Super Friends, he hosted a short-lived competitor to Soul Train that was actually pretty cool. You can find him conducting interviews with all kinds of amazing artists at the time, Gladys Knight and Bill Withers. We also have Red Alert, who got his first speaking part. There's tons of new characters introduced, but I tend to only do this little bit whenever they have their first speaking role. So Red Alert also spoke in this episode, and we talked about Michael Chain, that he was the rockin' leather jacket wearing guy with the bleach blonde long hair. We covered that a few episodes ago. He does Red Alert and Powerglide. Have you ever met Michael Chain, Greg?
No.
I only said that. Greg, I feel like you have met everybody.
No. Transformers wise, I've only really met Peter Cullen.
Oh, well, that's nothing. Never mind.
Gotta have one. Like, yeah. But that's about it, Transformers wise. I don't think I've met anyone else. I'm just looking at my stuff to see what I've got.
He's got a wall.
I forget sometimes. Signature wise, but yeah, that's about it. Peter Cullen, he was awesome. Welker's I don't think Welker's been down here for a long time. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that he really even does cons that much anymore.
I don't think so.
There is some TFCon footage of him and Peter Cullen at TFCon together. I believe it was TFCon, not BotCon, together. We also had the first appearance of Grapple, Trax, Blitzwing, Ramjet, and Thrust, although I don't believe they had any lines to speak of. Did I miss anybody?
I think that's it. I think
was it
Inferno?
Inferno. Well, this wasn't his first appearance.
As far as production order,
In
yeah.
production order.
I can't remember the name of that episode.
Insecticon Syndrome.
Was that the last episode we just released?
That's correct. Where you had the grievous error of being wrong about the
barbecue.
The Insecticons. No.
Oh,
how the Insecticons and their rationale for being in the episode at all.
It was good.
Revisit that, everybody. Why don't we go to
In the Real World?
All right. In the Real World, Dinobot Island Part 1 aired September 25th, 1985. In the American Top 40, oh man, if I just never have to think about Dire Straits again.
It was a big hit, man.
It'll be too soon. So,
well, it was a big hit, and the 20 episodes we've watched were probably all 20 days apart.
Well, that's the problem, is that these episodes all air from like September to December.
Yeah.
So
what have you done in its place?
In its stead, I covered one of my favorite songs, Foreigners, I Want to Know What Love Is. It was number one for the first 2 weeks of February of 1985. It's a sweet-ass power ballad, and it is the group's biggest hit and the only one to top the charts in the UK and the US.
Where was Foreigner from?
The UK, I believe.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was authentic.
You want to make sure they were foreigners.
Exactly.
Mick Jones wrote and composed this, and about the process, he quite insufferably said, I want to know what love is, Came up at 3 a.m. I don't know where it came from. I consider it a gift sent through me. I think there was something bigger than me behind it. I'd say it was probably written entirely by a higher force.
I don't know what language that was, but I couldn't
it's British Isles.
I couldn't stop listening.
It was a semi-Liverpool.
It was all over the place.
It being written by a higher force seems unlikely, since an uncredited portion of the song was in fact created by Lou Gramm, the original frontman for Foreigner. Jones says that Graham's contribution was about 5%. Graham says it was closer to 40%. I'm inclined to believe the latter, just because I find Mick Jones an insufferable human being based on one quote.
Yeah, fuck him.
Great ballad, though.
Yeah, it's a great song. Number one at the box office, Back to the Future, in the last week of its 8-week number one run. We did cover this movie pretty extensively, so I didn't pick a different one, and also it's coincidentally a time travel movie.
Oh.
I just wanted to see talk to Greg, because I wanted to see if he had any thoughts about it, because he sent me a cool picture of him with Christopher Lloyd in front of the DeLorean.
Yeah, I haven't met that many Transformers people, but I've met a few Back to the Future people. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd, Claudia Wells, who is Jennifer in the first movie, the OG Jennifer, and Billy Zane was here last year.
Ooh.
So people kind of forget that he's in that movie as well. He's one of Biff's
Was he a Biff
guys.
gang? Okay.
Yeah, the easy way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do you change clothes so fast? Love that guy. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, Back to the Future. That's my favorite movie of all time. So
it's a good one.
It just ticks all the boxes. It's good story, good acting. Like Christopher Lloyd's fantastic in that movie.
Yeah,
and it's despite the fact
time
that
travel sort of makes sense, kind of like it's consistent with its own rules.
Yeah, it's probably the best done time travel movie, let alone time travel trilogy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that it involves time travel, it's not convoluted. It's very straightforward fun.
It's, I agree. They do a good job of, though, not insulting the intelligence of the audience, but at the same time, I always felt like, oh yeah, I get all of what's going on. Like I felt like I was, I don't know, I'm losing what I'm thinking about.
It's all right. There is, I mean, No.
Almost every line that Christopher Lloyd has in that movie is exposition, but you don't notice it.
Really?
You just can't
Yeah, I
go
never
with it, I think.
thought about that.
He's there to explain.
You're not thinking quantum-dimensionally. I have a real problem with that. The only bit of trivia I think I said was we did say that the time machine was supposed to be like a refrigerator, but I just learned recently that it was originally supposed to be powered by Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's where the Indiana Jones nuke fridge thing. That's where it came from. It was originally it was that same sort of thing. He had to Marty has to, it's basically like a little box that he would climb into like a fridge to travel back in time, and you need nuclear power and stuff like that, which they kind of kept because he needs the plutonium and all that. And the original climax of the movie is him sneaking onto like a test site where they're blowing up the nukes, and it's going to go off, and he's like, oh, what do I do? I need to fuel the time machine and all that. And he's in that town where they have the fake, the fake town set up with the fake people and all that kind of thing. And he ends up opening a fridge to get the Coke out of it to power the time machine. And then he's like, hang on a minute, I could hide in the fridge because it's lead line and all that kind of shit. So yeah,
Steven Spielberg loved that.
So he sat on that idea for 20 years. He's like, I am gonna do something with that someday, and then
35
in the fucking Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones and the long lost Steven Spielberg idea.
Yeah,
Caleb and I at one point had about 10 alternate names for the Crystal Skull movie, but I can't remember what it is.
Well, my favorite was Indiana Jones and the Picture of Sean Connery. That's what that movie should have been called.
Indiana Jones and the late onset radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
What if we are living now currently in the Back to the Future Part 2 Biff timeline? Because it feels pretty bad.
Biff and Trump.
I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Biff and Trump are very analogous.
Well, it has been said the screenwriter did Bob Gale. Is that right? I think he said that he did base Biff on Trump, but I don't know if he's just retconning that or if that's true.
That'd be wild.
Well, the Biff universe where he is killing it, that feels Trump all the way.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, with the casinos and all that. Yeah,
and even his hair, just the way he
True.
looks.
Butthead.
Jesus.
Having not known that refrigerator fact, I'm just going to take a guess at this. Tell me if this is wrong. Did they change it because they were afraid kids would get in refrigerators and kill themselves?
Yes.
Of course.
Yep.
You make that sound like
the fucking nanny state telling us what we can and can't do.
And Rob Zemeckis, the director, he wanted to make it a bit cooler as well. He thought, well, if you're going to travel back in time, then that's why they put it in the movie, where Doc says, you want to travel back in time, you want to do it in style, or whatever he says, He says, because once you travel back in time, he goes, if you were going to go to, he said he goes to the 50s by accident. He said, so if Doc Brown was going to travel back in time to another place, you need a vehicle to get around. And he said in the interview I've seen, he said, ultimately, you would kind of want something that's a bit of a tank or some kind of all-terrain vehicle. He said, but, if you were doing it in real life. But he said you would, so we went with a car just because, that would be a bit cooler.
Yeah.
So especially if we end up going to the 50s and stuff.
I did recently watch the DeLorean documentary on Netflix. I don't know if it's still up there. It's very interesting about the whole scandal, about how he was not a good dude, but it's very interesting. And I do wonder if the DeLorean would be as well remembered if it hadn't been in that movie. If anybody would even remember it at all.
No way in the world. I don't think so. Because you think of all the other cars that have come and gone, that
the Edsel.
Just little things where it's like, oh, there's this car, there's that car. They've all come and gone. People kind of remember them back in the day. Oh, yeah, that's right. But the DeLorean is sort of... Yeah. The DeLorean is such an iconic vehicle. You would have... I think kids in that today would be actually surprised to learn that it was an actual
car.
It's just... it's just the car. It's the time machine that Doc Brown made. It just looks like that,
Do you know how many they actually produced? How many were out in the market?
It wasn't.
It was about 4, I think.
4?
Do you mean the car?
I mean the DeLorean. Yeah, I mean the actual DeLorean. All right, we'll follow up on that, listener.
More to come.
So
I already got an answer for you. There were 9,000.
That's
that's
so
not
few.
very many.
That's not very many.
How many are still around today?
It says an estimated 6,500 remain on the road today. That's high.
Wow.
Well, if you've got one, you're probably going to hang on to it.
Yeah, I think they stopped production in 82, it says. And, of course, Back to the Future came out 3 years later. So there were still enough of them around that all of a sudden people were like, oh, fuck. No, this DeLorean we got to keep this. The movie made this big.
Yeah.
We're not getting rid of the DeLorean.
As I understand,
Back to the
not
Future car.
It's not a very good car. It doesn't work very well.
I saw one in Branson. I didn't see it driving, but it was in a parking lot. They had souped it up to look Mad Max.
That's kind of neat.
Which Greg wouldn't know anything about, so we'll just move on from
Greg's
there.
never seen Mad Max.
I know.
It's weird.
We'll save that topic for the next
And
episode.
I think, as a Mad Max fan,
It is interesting though that the DeLorean is a shitty car, because in the movie as well, it's a shitty car. Like the time travel stuff works, but like the engine stalls,
Right.
it doesn't start.
I never
Yeah.
thought
It
about
does.
that.
he has to bang his head on the steering wheel to get it going again.
That's right.
That's why so many drivers of that car have head injuries.
Became serial killers.
Script deviations.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Written by Donald F. Glutt, January 7th, 1985. Revised by Ron Friedman, January 13th, 85. So less than a week this spent on the editing.
Turn it around.
And it shows Don Glutt is a bit of an amateur paleontologist. All the dinosaurs in this episode are real dinosaurs or real to the period, and named and described in the script by Don Glutt. The incoherent representations, such as the pterosaur being able to pick up Spike, which would be impossible. That's not
Because they weren't that big or strong. Or...
They're just they have to be very light. They can't. First of all, their hands are not, or their feet are not designed for
They
grasping.
probably had hollow bones.
And they have to be very light, yeah. And they just soar. They don't they don't fly in the same way. But also that first scene where they drops them in the nest, that's not in the script. Only the scene with the Elasmosaurus with Spike is in the script.
Okay.
Which is weird. So they added an extra scene. The horny pterosaur sneaking up on Laserbeak is called a Ramphorhynchus, which sounds like a prehistoric themed roller rink. Which is nobody take that. That's for me. All right.
You're gonna make that.
I thought people would think that was funnier than everyone in the room.
In a post-COVID world, has anybody taken the idea of a rolling rink and made a hipster contemporary We should make
Seems
a hipster
like a
roller
no-brainer.
rink. Let's do this, guys. We could buy out the skateport and turn it into a.
Is it still there?
I don't know if the building is there. I actually don't know.
So there's no
I think
point.
it's an Andy's frozen custard
Yeah,
now.
you're
Actually,
right. Yeah,
never.
it's not there anymore. Skateland's still going strong.
We can combine that, Aaron, when you bring your Transformers con down here, since we don't have them.
Australian Transformers Con / roller rink.
Roller derby, yeah.
Right. The cosplayers can,
Yeah,
go wild.
We can get all those cosplayers to just beat the fuck out of each other in a roller rink.
That'd be pretty
environment.
cool looking. I think it'd be hard to probably roller skate in a cosplay outfit, depending on what it is.
There's also the whole thing of if you're making a hipster roller rink, there's probably going to be booze, and that seems dangerous with roller skates.
Oh no, there's always been booze in roller skates.
I don't think that's true.
Skateland doesn't serve beer.
No,
I don't think so.
Really?
I learned recently watching a documentary that roller skating was very big in the African American community. Like they have competitions and shit.
My when I lived in St. Louis, my neighbor Cheryl, she would go every week to a roller disco night.
It was awesome. And different regions have different styles. Like there's the Philadelphia style, like the Chicago style, like the Houston style. It was very cool.
Leave it to African Americans to take something lame and white and make it awesome.
Make it cool.
And then leave it to the whites to take it back and
No.
It's hipster skate night.
Yes.
Check out all these cool moves.
We're gonna listen to some indie rock, maybe some Bon Iver.
Yeah.
Foreigner.
Yeah. God, a Bon Iver themed skate night would be the dumbest, lamest thing ever.
I like Bon Iver, but I'm not skating to
I'm
it.
not skating to Bon Iver. I'm skating to some ACDC.
That's right.
As you know, Mr. Friedman's MO when editing the scripts was to redact entire lines CIA style. But the most ridiculous, pedantic thing he's done that I've seen so far is the line where Huffer says, "Beryllium baloney, once a dino klutz, always a dino klutz." Now, Don Glutt spelled dino klutz DINOCLUTZ. And Ron crossed out the C and corrected it to a K.
To a klutz.
Just to make sure you pronounce it
Which
correctly.
is technically correct, but I'm like, it's phonetic.
You're just being a dick.
What are you doing? Oh, man. Oh, at least be doing... Anyway, I'm a terrible speller, but it's just memorization. It's no indication of intelligence. Like if somebody won a bunch of trophies, it doesn't mean anything that they're better than me.
That feels specific.
He was looking at you when he said it.
I don't understand why.
The last thing I have in script deviations is in the script, Blaster is called Blast Box, which is terrible.
That's my porn name.
Big Sludge and Blast Box.
Oh, God, what a disgusting porno that would be.
The Adventures of Big Sludge and Blast Box.
Fuck.
The never-ending
And
adventures.
away we go.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Okay. Well, what do we normally do now, guys?
Iconic moment?
We do. Hey,
Or rate the scheme iconic moment.
let's rate the scheme. Greg, I'd like to start with you as our guest. How did you feel about this episode?
And what do we usually give it on a scale of 1 to 10, right?
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Free
whatever.
form.
Yeah.
Whatever scale you want.
I don't know what kind of system used in Australia. He's like, I don't know.
Probably metric.
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know. Liters.
Yeah.
How many liters?
Yeah. How many liters and centimeters? Yeah. As far as the scheme goes, it's pretty standard, really. I guess Megatron's like, oh, let's go there and steal the energy, but I guess I'd give it an 8 because at the end for this episode, because at the end of this episode, like they are kind of achieving their
True.
goals.
Yeah.
Like they quote unquote like kill the Dinobots, and they do have a big stack of energon cubes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and Prime and that don't even know they're there. So it is kind of things are all working.
Yeah, at this point it's I agree. It's if the Autobots, they refuse to create security protocols for their base, so the Decepticons are going to silently discover what's going on. If you're Megatron and what you're doing is working, you're going to keep doing it.
Right. I would
I think maybe that's why he has that big hero shot where he kind of flies up like, it's like, look, I'm doing it. It's happening.
I'd probably rate it higher if it wasn't a two-parter. Like if the episode just is a one-off and it ends with the
Death of the Dinobots.
I'd probably give it a 10.
It's a sad day, Autobots. Our Dinobot friends have died.
Some of the Autobots are probably like, thank God they're not coming back to
Hover.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah.
Wheeljack's the only one that's sad.
Oh,
He's just
Oh,
sitting
man.
there.
Now I'm thinking of sad Wheeljack.
Now I'm gonna have no. I don't think he'd be sad. He'd be like, "That's okay. I'm gonna build more. And I'd build something even worse."
Dragon Beast.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce you to Dinobots 2.
It's just some tin cans glued together. He's gone mad from grief.
What's that diminishing? It's like diminishing returns. Is
Mhm.
it? Yeah. He's taken real dinosaurs from the island and it's just like screwed parts to them.
Oh, God.
That's just,
Dino
and they
Riders,
are
yeah.
still alive.
Yeah, they're just like suffering.
Kill me.
Oh. Yeah, he gave them voice boxes so they can read. You can read their mind.
So they can read, though they are literate.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs will be literate.
Despite the fact this features my favorite group, the Dinobots, I will say I will go with Greg. The scheme is solid for the Decepticons. It's
Up
high
to now.
It's high up there, yeah. To now, just strictly for me, for like the way the Dinobots are portrayed. I think they're portrayed in much better ways in other episodes. Like again, that one with Nurgle, but I don't hate it.
Okay, we can.
I'm the ghost of the iconic moment.
You know.
Do you have an iconic moment for this episode? Anything that stood
Just
out?
the opening scene, I think, with Powerglide. Just being like, hey, look at me, I'm the best. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You got a
And just
real Powerglide
Powerglide
over
in general,
here.
I think.
Caleb?
No, I don't have one.
Ryan?
Nope.
I think the Dinobot training montage is iconic. I don't... What? You're going to be
Spike
judgmental
being
about...
around by that.
Just let him have it.
No, that's fine.
Christ.
You're right. It's your opinion. I shouldn't poo-poo it.
That's right.
Fucking stupid idiot. Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
We've got more of the same. Same guest. same plot continuing.
Sorry.
Nothing new. You know, if you didn't like what you had here, just skip the next one.
No, don't do that.
It's not gonna get better.
No. Maybe it will. Maybe this time we'll actually record the whole fucking thing.
Oh,
Oh
wait.
God.
Wait a minute.
It's got to be better next time.
Greg, what would you like to plug?
I guess I should plug Transformers Reanimated first up, since this is a Transformers podcast. Like we said earlier, you can go to the website, which is transformersreanimated.com, strangely enough. And yeah, all our scripts and covers for our, I hate using the term fan fiction because I don't know, it just doesn't seem, it sounds pretentious to me, I think. We're like, what's fan fiction? Like, we just, I don't know, we just wrote some stuff. But yeah, it will, everywhere on there, Yoshi does a good job looking after the site with links and stuff like that to various, he does posts where you can get a closer look at the artwork, and we do script readings, of course, as you guys know, which we've done with you guys and Mike Seibert and that sort of stuff. If you like Back to the Future, Unfunny Nerd Tangent, we did episode 6, I think it was. So like 100 years ago, we did Back to the Future on our show. So we talk about, pop culture nonsense, movies and TVs, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much anywhere you're listening to this show, you should be able to find Unfunny Nerd Tangent, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. And yeah, that's just check it out.
Also,
He's a busy man.
Yeah, one other thing. Obviously, you're a heck of a writer with the TF Reanimated stuff. Your pop culture analysis and movie pieces that you've done. I've read several of your top 40 for 40. Yeah. They're great write-ups. I love them.
Yeah, just real quick. Basically, the 40 for 40 that I did on unfunnynerdtangent.com was about, over a year ago, but basically in the 40 weeks leading up to my 40th birthday, which was February 2019, I did a movie review a week for 40 weeks, and then I turned 40. So that's why I did the 40 for 40. But yeah, there's like my 40 favorite movies there, sort of written up with a deep dive and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
the hardest
and Transformers the movie is one of them. So
nice.
Yeah,
is Sleepaway Camp one of them?
No, not quite. But Evil Dead 2 is. So you'd probably like that one.
Absolutely.
You know what would be tough to do your 53 for 53, and you'd have to start writing it when you're 51.
What?
52.
No.
Don't look at what you're looking at right at me while you're saying this.
If you're doing your 53 for 53, it's going to take you. You're going to have to write that all throughout your 52nd year. You're going to have to start when you're 51.
Well, that's what I had to do. I pretty much started in May.
We're doing.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just really like
calendar math now. That's how we're ending the show.
Dude, I do calendar math on this show all the time, trying to figure out like when it's going to end.
If you'd like to support us, you can do it in one of two ways, via Patreon or some merch at the APDC store. Check out the goods at our website or patreon.com/APODcast. Continue to check us out on all the things you check us out on already. I'm sure if you're listening, you've already got a platform of choice.
How are you listening to this? That's where you can find us.
Keep doing it there. Apple Podcast users, please leave a review. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All of them at APODcast, and the web presence at Autopod Decepticast.com.
Americans, please go vote in November. Oh God. But just do it. Just do it. Oh. I can't take this timeline.
Biff is still got his casino. He's doing really well. He's okay. We're going. Bye.
Bye.
Is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes.